Good afternoon, guys. Today I'm just doing Q&A. I took some questions on my Instagram recently, and this is the third one of these I'm doing. I discluded some of the really frequent questions that I've already answered, and um, except a few that I felt like I could answer again, just to give a little more clarity. Maybe it'd be interesting to go over them some different ways. I did get quite a few questions. Um, I'm not going to make a second video. I'll try and get through all of these in the one video, and I'll probably do another one of these again in a few weeks, just because there's quite a few questions being asked, and I think this is a good way for some people to ask me some things maybe they're curious about, and I can just kind of open up a bit on that. So super old school. Just have some notes there. Someone says to me they really like the black and they're happy that I blacked out all my old tattoos. Well, I liked my old tattoos, but thank you. The black is cool. I like the black too. Um, Another person has asked me, how long have I been tattooed total? This question is getting harder and harder to answer. I had it figured out that it was around 550 something hours. That was a while ago. I'm pretty sure I'm getting close to 600. So we'll just give an easy answer, between 550 and 600 hours, somewhere in there. Just in this last year, I've been tattooed for close to over 100 hours in that area. So it's not hard to figure I'm, getting close to that 600 mark. I think last year I was around 450, 500-ish. So yeah, fun times. Am I going to tattoo my eyes? This is one I get quite often. I'm not going to tattoo my eyes because, I mean, this is the poetic way to put it. Throughout all of my changes, hair, no hair, red tattoos, black tattoos, all kinds of different piercings I I get done and take out. All kinds of different things change. My shirts, my wardrobe, whatever, that all changes. But my eyes are always the same, and that's the reason why I won't tattoo them. It might sound poetic, but ask yourself, guy like me who's got pretty well everything tattooed and multiple times tattooed some places, why wouldn't I have my eyes tattooed already if I wanted them? I think I would have done it a long time ago, personally. If I were to tattoo them at all, I would do black. I think that's the best looking eye color tattoo, and it's not because of all the black. I just think that it works the best, personally. Someone asked me how my new job is going. Well, if you watched my recent videos, it is going fairly well, but still some trepidation. There's a lot unknown in it, but even since my last few videos, I've been at the shop a few more times, and I've been listening to a lot of kind of instructive podcasts. There's a podcast I just started listening to called Real Talk. It's a piercing podcast. People talking on the podcast are piercers. I've also been watching some YouTube videos as well. This is on my off time, so reading a lot, watching a lot, listening to a lot, and spending quite a bit of time at the shop. I don't expect that I'll be doing a lot of my own piercings anytime soon, but that being said, I have pierced before, just kind of me and some of my friends years ago. I don't recommend getting piercings done in someone's house or anything like that, but when I was younger, obviously I pierced myself a few times and stuff. So it's not like the learning part for me is more about the knowledge and the proper technique. I don't have so much trepidation about the actual job, just kind of the learning it, the technical aspects, and doing it the right way. I don't want to be doing a bad job of it, so the piercing is going to take me a little while to figure out, but I am committed to it. And thanks for asking how it's going. I'll kind of update this as I go on YouTube and maybe a little bit on Instagram. It doesn't make a really good story to talk about what I'm learning about on an Instagram picture. Most people don't have the patience to read that, so those updates will be more primarily YouTube oriented, I think. Someone asked me what my most memorable piercing story is, and there are quite a few candidates, but the one I'll say today is when I got my didos done back in 2011. For those who don't know, didos are um, private piercings. I got a set of 2 of them um, because I liked the way that looked, and I had to go out of city to get um, have a consultation first. I had to be measured. They had to make sure I had the right dimensions for it, and then a month later, they had produced proper fitting jewelry for me specifically. They had to do custom orders for it to make sure it's just right for my dimensions. So then I had to return to that city a month later, get the piercings, which were the most painful piercings I've ever had. Um, I don't know if it's the most pain I've ever been in because we have a tendency to remember things differently than it was. Like when I remember that, I remember being in so much pain. I've never felt that pain before. But that being said, I've had a lot of pain since. So if I were to get those piercings today, I don't know what they'd be like relative to getting my belly button blacked out or my nipples tattooed 5 times or my armpits or any of these other things that people think are so painful. Um, yeah, I hadn't had any of that stuff done really then. I was in the early stages of tattooing at that point, so I didn't have as much to compare it with. But um, the most painful part of it was probably the bus ride home. They gloved me and they gave me a bandage to kind of rest in my underwear. So on the way home, it would not bleed all over my pants. It would bleed all over the paper towel. And I know as gross as this sounds, but being on the bus home, um, well, I'll back up a bit. My bus was leaving faster than I thought it was, so I had to run to my bus stop. Now, during this, there was a lot of trauma, and then when I finally did get on the bus, thank God I made it in time, um, the vibration from the bus all the way home, 3 hours, was subtly painful the whole way, and I had so many worries about what my piercing was going to look like when I got home because of running all the way to the bus stop and then all that pain on the way home. When I finally got home and I looked at it, it was just swollen and sore, and the jewelry they give you for those piercings are way bigger than you keep in when it's healed. So it was a very depressing, sad moment when I seen myself and, oh God, what have I done to myself? Why do I have to do these things? Which is a question I've asked myself several times since and a few times before that. But the answer why I do these things is always why not? I like body modification, you know. Of course, I was going to have to try and experiment with private piercings. So sorry if that story was a little gross, but there it is. That's the most memorable piercing story I'm going to talk about today. There are, like I said, a few other ones that might have topped that, but today that's the one I'm going to say is the most memorable to me. Okay, why did I black out? I'm not sure if I've actually told the story clearly before on my YouTube, but the reason I blacked out is because years ago I had this arm slowly pieced together as a sleeve, and I didn't really have a concept of what I wanted it to be. So I had multiple artists adding things to it, and kind of had a loose theme, but it didn't really connect that well. And parts of it were done well, and parts of it were done poorly, and they were all differently done because it was different artists, and I didn't have a clear vision to begin with, and the background was really crappily done. Like it was, what was there was barely there, and it was just really weird. And when I was thinking about how I could possibly fix it, I didn't have a real good idea. So honestly, it wasn't that I regretted it, but it was the only part of me that I really felt like would benefit from being blacked out. Like if I had to look at one part of my old suit, go, that doesn't look very good, that was it. So the easy answer for me was, I love black. I have a lot of black in my tattoos anyway. Why not have a black sleeve? It would suit me. As I looked at that black sleeve, I slowly blacked out more and more of it. And now it's completely black. There's nothing left on this sleeve now. I gradually came to love the blackout look more and more. And I started looking at my other arm and different places on me and went, this is never going to be as solid or as well saturated as this blackout sleeve is. And so, yeah, it just kind of begged the question, why not go farther? Why not do more? So I ended up blacking out parts of this sleeve and then up to my neck and then my chest and shoulders and the back of my neck. All of that got blacked out. Then finally the tentacles had a lot of problems in them and it would have been a lot of work to fix them. And I'm not even sure I would have preferred them fixed. So finally, the tentacles were the last part to get blacked out. I will be doing my legs eventually, but that's another story. Favorite movie. My favorite movie is definitely, I've gone back and forth on this, but I think it's definitely the one that's held up best in memory is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. If you haven't seen it, it's about a procedure that's been developed where you can erase parts of your memories. So if you had a bad breakup or something like this, you could go and have that person erased from your memories. It's Jim Carrey and who is the female actress? I can't remember. Kate Blanchett? I don't know. Anyway, it's a really good movie. Another great movie that I've come back to throughout the years is American Beauty. That's another one of my favorites. Generally, one that I'll watch probably for forever, at least once a year. There's lots of other movies like that I love, really weighty dramas like that. Favorite show? Well, right now, my favorite show right now I would still say is Penny Dreadful. I'm looking forward to the new series of it. I don't think it got long enough. It's only had 3 seasons, but they are coming up with a new one. It's not going to be this connected. It's going to be like a same idea, different timeline, different area. But I have been reading the comic series that follows after Penny Dreadful ends the show, and it's been pretty good. So, did I plan my old suit? It looked really great. No, I didn't plan my old suit. It was pieced together through various artists, various times of my life contributing to it over a decade. It came together fairly well in the end through a lot of imagination and ingenuity. Some of the artists I had were really creative, and I had a really great vision for how it would all come together. Parts of it on the chest were done, and then I used what space was left to envision how I would bring it all together. And I came up with a lot of ideas that worked really well together, but the original bones of it were my sleeves and my chest, and none of that was conceived beforehand. It was all kind of cobbled together. But yeah, I really like my old suit too, so thank you. What inspires me to body mod? Well, that's a very big question, but I'll just say I'll do a whole video on this sometime, but I'll quickly say that generally speaking, I've always felt a little more interested in obscure kind of styles, and ever since I was young, I've always liked the looks of piercings and stuff. So if it wasn't like, because when I was young, I was really into gothic clothing and like I wore trench coats and stuff like that, and that was my way of being edgy. As I grew up, it became less about the clothes I was wearing and more about make me the difference. So it's not about putting on something that makes me look different. It's about making me look different, because I felt a little bit different from other people. This is my way of expressing that. Like I said, I'm not going to go super in depth on that because I could do 4 or 5 videos on that. But this is just my creative outlet. If this is my art form, we could say. Change artist is what I've called it before. I like to be changing the way I look to represent how I feel. Anyway, how much money have I spent? Well, I've been saying between $60,000 and $70,000 on pierced tattoos for a long time. So I gotta say I'm getting probably close to 100,000. But it's a really hard question to answer. Once again, anytime someone asks me that, I'm honestly just giving them an answer that I think sounds right. But it's a lot. But people are always like, you could have bought a car with that. You could have bought this with that. Yeah, I have a car already, and I own my own house already. So I'm not really worried about these things. People must think that I have less money than I do, or I don't know what it is. But people always say yeah, you could have bought a car with that or something. It's like, yeah, I'm doing all right. Worry about yourself. I'm pretty stable financially. If anything, I have less money, or I have less time than I have money. So I'm not saying I'm rich, but generally speaking, I'm doing well enough. I don't need to worry about um, getting a tattoo instead of paying mortgage or something. Like, it's not that choice for me. I liken this to some people buy cigarettes or alcohol or weed or whatever. This is what I spend my money on. And I think everybody has something that they do that with, something that they're, um, it's like an extracurricular activity. This is mine. Um, Someone asked me if I've ever had two artists work at me at the same time. I haven't yet, but I do plan on that fairly soon, hopefully. It's always been something that's been interesting to me. I have had two separate artists tattoo me back to back. I've had 3 tattoos done in a single day by 3 different artists, but I have not yet had 2 artists tattoo me at the same time. They also ask, how would that feel if so? I can imagine that it would be a bit disorienting, though I have never done it myself. I can imagine your brain being pulled in so many different directions that you don't really know which part to focus on, and I could see that being sort of a meditative experience potentially. Do I recommend blacking out? I recommend, I've said this before, but I recommend people first have other tattoos and then black out. I know some people are blacking out from the start now, and that's cool if you want to, I guess, but I think blackout is done traditionally and should be done traditionally to cover up old work and start new. It's kind of like, uh, for me, it's been like college to high school, it's like, the next level for me. And I think that it works well that way because it is more painful, it's harder to heal, and it's a lot more final and concrete than regular tattoo is. You can pretty easily cover just a random tattoo. It's a lot harder to cover black. I mean, it can actually be done. You can still laser it off and things like this, but it's a lot more dedication. So I think that it's something you should do later on if you're going to do it. Someone says to me, just saying I love your look and your message you spread on your Instagram. You're always positive, and thank you. For that, I say thank you. I really hope that some people do enjoy my Instagram posts and stuff, and that I'm making some kind of an impact on people. Some days it's a real headache, and that's something that you really only understand if you get far into the Instagram world. It's a lot of headache some days. Sometimes I think, oh, I could live without it, but then it's done a lot of good for me too, and I've met a lot of cool people. I'm going to do a video on that shortly, what Instagram has done for me and inspired me. Some of the people I've met have inspired me, and so on and so forth. But anyway, that'll be another video. That might even link into the one I'm talking about with the body mod inspiration. Anyway, this has been long enough, and just kind of like doing these. So let me know if you've enjoyed this, and let me know if you want me to do another one, things like that. And if you like these videos, and be sure to share them with your friends and follow me on Instagram at ephemeralremy. Have a great day.